Hi, I'm Amitut Sethi and I'm happy to help.
The way I thought of this is either you'll end up at the end of the session with validation of something you already know. Okay, so I know this about my business and this session is validated for me कि हाँ ये ठीक ठाक है, this works. Or you'll end up with an alternative thought process. Can I do this differently? Can I do this in a different way? Is there a different approach to the way I want to go? Or you will get clarity. Okay, that's what I want to do, and this is validated and this is correct. That's what I want to do. Or it'll end up giving you a new direction. So at the end of the session, we'll come back to this slide and see whether we've achieved this for you. Right? So that's how we're going to measure the session. So the purpose of the session needs to be that okay, either I come back with a validation, or I come back with alternative thought process, or I have clarity, or I have a new direction. If I've not been able to do this, the session's been a waste for you, honestly. Okay? So we'll measure this in the end. The way we structured this is I'll spend about 15-20 minutes talking to you about a little bit about what I've done, more about what I've learned, and a little bit about what could be possible ways for you to grow your business or for you to take the path forward in whatever path you've chosen for yourself. We will then spend about 15 minutes per session with fellow members from Wings who will come and present their journeys. They'll come and talk about their businesses, and they'll talk to you about challenges that they're facing, the future that they see. And I wanted to use whatever we learned in that 15-20 minutes to try and find a solution for them. Right? So you're going to learn something in the next 15-20 minutes, and you're going to use that in the next 30-45 minutes to try and help your own fellow people to find solutions. Okay? So one thing that Shweta said, change is the only constant. We've heard this a lot of times, right? Shweta was advocating that change is the only constant. You have to keep adapting yourself to change. So the way I look at it is, you must, to stay relevant today, you must evolve yourself. Evolve yourself as a person, evolve yourself as an entrepreneur, and evolve yourself as a business. Because unless you don't evolve, you are going to die. It may not be tomorrow, but that's the definite path ahead. Right? There are enough and more examples that you've got where businesses have not evolved and have died. One of them was up on her slide, Xerox. Right? All of you said photocopy. What is your answer? Xerox. Is Xerox a relevant business today? No. Xerox is dead. Right? Does Xerox do any sales today? Doing nothing. Why? Because they didn't make the change from physical paper to scanning to digital. They just didn't make that transition. They didn't evolve to a changing need in the market. So they are dead. Right? Any other example you have? Kodak. Anything closer home? Sorry? Who?
But it's still there. It's still there.
Whistler. Why would you say that's dead?
No, we just discussing that. It's still there. It's
Okay.
not faded.
Okay. Any other thoughts that come to mind about a failed business closer home?
X-rays which were developed and photographs which were developed initially.
Polaroids? Polaroid? Sure, Polaroid is also dead. They're trying to make a comeback. It's now a new Gen Z thing. Polaroid is still catching up, but that's just a change. But yes, as a business, what Polaroid was, it's dead. So I had a couple of thoughts. Kodak, Xerox, like all of you all did. Reliance Communications, right? CDMA technology. They were among the first ones to come into the space, right? The technology changed to then 2G, 3G, moved to GSM instead of CDMA, and they failed. They completely closed down as a business. It was probably a start, one of the big bricks that Anil Ambani put up there and then fell through, and the complete empire came crumbling down. Right? So like you've got cases of this, you've got cases on the other side. So bad businesses fail because they don't adapt. You also have businesses which adapted and which have changed. Some examples of that?
Idea.
Sorry?
Idea.
Samsung.
Okay. Explain. Why Samsung?
Samsung, I don't remember the history, but I read it up somewhere. It started up as a very different company and then it entered tech. Their original business was something else. That's why
Absolutely
it's
right. So they were not a tech company. They were an engineering company. Right? Today they manufacture most of your mobile phones. Right? What is the other? Somebody said idea? Why?
They're tied up with Vodafone, right? So they
Okay.
created DR.
Correct.
Adaptation.
Fair enough. So idea actually started as Birla. It started as AT&T. We tied up with Birla, so it became Birla AT&T. Then it got rebranded as Idea when Aditya Birla took it over, and they kind of combined that then with Vodafone because both were failing entities trying to bring it together. They are currently now trying to tie up with Starlink to bring internet into the foray. I won't say it's a great case of adapting to the changing requirements. It's more trying to survive whatever is there, right? Right. I'm dying anyway. Let me kind of cling on to another guy who's dying, and together we'll try and maybe make it together.
What about car manufacturers? I think they have evolved.
Give me an example.
Tata.
Brilliant example. Do you know what Tata Motors started off as?
Heavy.
Before that,
vehicle.
Tata Motors was called Telco, Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company. They were manufacturing locomotives. From there, they moved into heavy trucks, moved into machinery. From there, they figured car is the way forward. They got into cars. They were the first people to get into EVs. They're the largest selling EV manufacturers in the country today. So they are the ones who made that change. They've adapted to change. And that's why it's critical for you to succeed as a business. You have to keep adapting. Because without adaptation, you're going to die. Some other big names that come to mind are Amazon. What did Amazon start as?
Tech.
Books. They were just a bookseller. Took it online. Started adding other elements into the mix. Now you've got a whole marketplace. But have they stopped there? Amazon Prime, streaming services, Amazon Web hosting services. Right? Now you've got, sorry?
Amazon Pay.
Amazon Pay, payment services. Right? So it's the whole gamut. Right? You've got Apple. What did Apple start as? Desktop manufacturer. Right? From desktop manufacturer to laptop manufacturer, you'll say, okay, it's natural progression. From there to an iPod, that music thing that you were carrying as a replacement for Walkmans. From there to iPhones, iPads, now those VR goggles, right? Adapting. Right? Some of it works, some of it doesn't. But that's what it is about. Right? You've got Tata Motors. Brilliant example. Right? So unless you don't adapt, you are going to die. It's the clear rule of business. So you have to keep changing, keep adapting to the necessary things. Then the next question comes is, okay, if business is what it is and you need to change and adapt, what is the approach you take? Right? The two big words I put here, one is called deterministic, the other is probabilistic. Right? Jargon, some stuff needs to be there as new, but what exactly is deterministic is basing your complete decision-making skills on past data. You say, okay, this is what a business did, that's the past data, based on which I am predicting the future. And based on that future, I am going to go ahead and do something else. Or go ahead and do more investments in that space, or move away from that line, or whatever. Right? That's one approach to business. Right? Deterministic. The other approach to business is probabilistic, which basically is a two-way door. Which says, okay, I'll go out and try something new. If I don't like it, if it doesn't work what I'm trying to do, I will walk out of it. Right? And a lot of times what happens is there's so much of time and effort you spend on just deciding whether you want to try that new thing or not. right? That probably it was a lot easier to just do it, right? Because you'll have debates, you'll spend time, you'll spend energy, you do market research, you'll spend a whole lot of debating whether to do it or not to do it, and you will use the deterministic process to try and validate what you want to do, right? A lot of stuff doesn't work like that, right? So just a show of hands, how many of you, a lot of you are entrepreneurs, right? How many of you all believe your business you run in a deterministic fashion, which means you have Excel sheets, you will say, okay, this is 20% up, this is how the growth path will be, this is what I will do differently. How many of you all are deterministic? How many are probabilistic? What's the right approach? That only you can answer. Because it is your business. You're the one closest to it, you're the right person to answer that. Because if it's a business which you've been running for the last 30 years, right, and you've seen a certain pattern, using that data to build your further patterns is correct. It is deterministic. There is nothing wrong with it. Whereas if you're in a new setup, you don't really have enough data to give you a deterministic approach. Then to try and use market data to be deterministic may not be the right approach. Right? This is another one when I read your slide which spoke about passion. So they said, build your business around your passion. I firmly disagree. Sorry, but what is passion? Passion is all about personal fulfillment. What is business about? The purpose of business is to make money. Right? It is perfectly fine if you're not passionate about your business, but your business is making money.
That's man versus woman.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. Passion is great if you want to be a professional. Be passionate about your profession. Don't be passionate about your business. There's a difference between the two. Right? You're passionate about healing people, go be a doctor. Don't set up a hospital. You see the difference? Right? So passion is what gives you personal fulfillment. It's not necessary. Your business is about making sure your organization runs. People are there in your business, unki salary kahan se do? Right? So that's the only way why I would disagree with passion equal to business. I don't think it's equal to business. Passion is great if you want to be a professional. Right? Make your, what is that line in 3 Idiots? Something to that tune, no? Make your passion your profession and you will succeed. Something like that. Right? So take your passion and make it your profession, but business needs to run as a business. The purpose of business is to make money. Simple one line statement. The goal of any business is to make money. If you're not making money in your business, are you being a good businessman? Simple question. Yes, no? No. Then how can you say my goal is about passion and my passion should get fulfilled? Please, yes.
I mean, I still would like to place a disagreeing.
Please, happy to disagree with you. Happy to disagree. Tell me why.
For many of the businesses, I still believe that passion can lay the foundation to begin with. That is when probably we learn how to do business out of our passion. Because I mean, I'm saying it from my personal experience. I have a passion. I've not been able to convert it into business, and hence I'm working. I'm a working professional.
Okay.
But I still believe if I get the right tools, I would be able to convert my passion into a profitable business.
Okay. Will you hold on to that for just
All right.
2 seconds more? There's a slide ahead which addresses exactly that. Okay? Exactly what you're saying. So the thought process is perfect, aligned. I'll take you to the next slide. So these are the guidelines I have built for myself, which I use to evaluate whether it is a business opportunity worth delving into or not. My first point always is it profitable? If it is not profitable, don't get into it. So I've used this as an entrepreneur, I've used this as an investor, and I use this as a guide for people I mentor, right? Unless that opportunity that you're looking at is profitable, do not get into it. Right? So what is the basis of any business? Profit. Right? Your next is, at least this is how I look at it, is scale. Is it scalable? Right? Scale is something very personal. One person may feel 2 stores is scale. Another may feel 40 stores is still not scale. I want scale higher. Right? I am able to do supply to all of Aurangabad, and that's scale for me. Somebody says all of Maharashtra is too small. Yeah, I want all of India. I want a global market. So scale is something very personal. But unless you see scale in it, don't get into it. Right? Define scale as per your expectation and then decide whether to get into it or not. The third one is skills. And that's where that element comes in. I have the skill. But if I don't have the skill, can I learn it or can I hire it? If any of these 3 work, you can take it up, as long as the first 2 elements are done. So coming back to what you said, you have a passion towards something, right? I need the other tools with it.
So I have the skills.
You have the skills.
I don't have the above.
So can it be converted to a business today? Maybe not. Right? So this 3 is the simple 3 pillars that I use to evaluate. You're welcome to use the same. You may have something more as a 4th pillar. Please come back and let me know. I'll be happy to add one more slide to that. Right? But that's essentially how you should evaluate any business opportunity. That's also how you should be evaluating the business you are into today. Does it have profit? Does it have scale? Does it have the skills or the skills needed for the business? Do I have it? Can I acquire it? Or can I hire it? In any of the 3 scenarios, it's worthwhile. Right? This is something that has come to me over time where we figured that there are 3 other elements which a typical entrepreneur will face as a question mark. Scale, speed, and independence. And as an entrepreneur, you will have to sacrifice 99% of the time one out of these 3 to achieve the other 2. Right? So you want scale and you want speed. You will invariably have to go to investors and sacrifice your independence of working. Right? You want independence and you want speed. You can only scale at the pace that your business is able to generate money. Right? You want scale and you want independence. Chances are it will not happen very fast. Right? So those are your 3 elements: scale, speed, and independence. SSI, small scale industry. Right? So one of these 3 you will have to sacrifice to make it for the other 2. This is delegate. This is something 90% of us as entrepreneurs do not do. Right? And this is something we have to do if you want to scale. You want to be able to go on a vacation and have your business running back home as usual. This is critical. You cannot work without this. So let's look at this. 1 is do as I say. Right? That's level 1. Level 2, research and report back to me. I will take that decision. Level 3, research and recommend. So you research, or you tell the people to research and come back to you as an entrepreneur and give you a recommendation with that research. The decision is still yours. Right? 4th stage, decide and inform. So the decision is taken by someone else, but you are still in the loop. And stage 5 is act independently. So this is what you as an entrepreneur should empower your people to do. That's the only way delegation happens. Right? So if I was to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, show of hands, how many are at 1? Okay. How many at 2? Okay. How many at 3? Better. How many at 4? Very good. How many at 5? Hats off to you, man. Really great. If you've been able to achieve that, that's the level you should go to. Because if you want to grow as a business, you need to grow with a team. You cannot grow alone. Right? For which you need to have enough faith in your people to be able to delegate your responsibilities. Only if you are able to delegate your responsibilities are you able to make time for you to grow the business. Because otherwise you're doing all the mundane stuff. You're doing all the day-to-day stuff. Then if that's what you're doing and you're managing 20 other responsibilities, where's the time? Where's the time? Where's the mental energy? Where's the space to grow? It's not there. Which comes to your goals. So you set up a goal, right? I want to grow my business. I want to do a business. I want to set up a business, right? Unless those goals are defined in this manner, which is they are specific, they are measurable, achievable, realistic, or relevant, and time bound. There is no point to setting a goal. So every time you set a goal, make sure you've got these 5 parameters covered. Right? Shweta had that in her slide saying, I want to go from 2 crores of business in 6 months. It was specific because it involved a number which was there. It was time bound. In 6 months, I want to get there. It was irrelevant to a business because if she was at 1 crore going to 2 crores, it was serious growth. Right? So make sure your goals are very well aligned this way. If you put a goal statement for yourself, which doesn't have these 5 parameters, you're fooling yourself. Right? What she brought on, what was reactive marketing, proactive marketing, and creative marketing. Same thing, put differently. You're either selling a product, you're selling the usage of that product, or you're selling the outcome of that usage. So your first one is reactive, your second one is proactive, and your third is creative. You want to give me an example of that? You have something? You're selling a cosmetic, right? Skin brightening cream. Skin brightening cream is your product. That's what you're looking to sell. So you're going out there in the market, putting all of it. What do you get because of it? Flawless skin, right? That's your usage. What's the outcome? You feel a lot more confident. Exactly. So when you don't sell the product, what are you selling? You're selling a skin brightening cream which gives you clear skin, is where you've done the first two. When you say the kind of confidence you will get because of that product is when you're selling the outcome. Right? So if you're able to take your selling process from product to usage, it's great. But if you're able to get it to an outcome, your sale is far, far more enhanced, it's a lot more guaranteed. Mentor. Right? Please realize that entrepreneurship is difficult. It is not an easy job. So as many allies you can get on board with you, the better it is for you. Right? It helps your journey. So you must try and figure out early in your entrepreneurial journey how to get mentors on board. The mentor could be a family, it could be friends, it could be professionals, it could be whatever works for you. The mentor has to make sure you have a safe space to address your thoughts. He should act or she should act as a sounding board to you. Right? He should be able to give you an independent perspective, because all said and done as entrepreneurs, we are so close to our business that at times we don't see the most obvious thing. Right? What to an outsider looks at, boss, kya kar rahe tu? Ye to itna, it's so contrary to what you should be doing. But because you've been so close to the business, you continue to do it every day. You're not able to get that view from 30,000 feet ever. Which is why you need a mentor. You want to call it a mentor, you want to call it a friend, you want to call it a co-partner. That's why when you've got startups and other setups where there are two complementary co-founders, right, it works very well. Because one is able to show a perspective to the other, which the other is not able to see. A lot of us don't want to do partnerships because you're not sure whether that'll work or not. Right? So you say, okay, no, I'll do it myself. but enlist the help of whichever of this works for you. Right? Make sure the person doesn't have a conflict of interest. If you're going to take on a person as a mentor who is secretly jealous of you, it not work. Right? अरे मेरी कितनी अच्छी दोस्त स्कूल से दोस्त right? So she can always be my mentor. But if that person's intentions or feelings towards you are not pure, it will not work. Right? So it's very important early in your journey, try and get on a mentor. And if it's a person who has entrepreneurial background, even better. Even if it doesn't, that's fine. Your mother-in-law could be your mentor. Right? Also make sure you communicate this. Tell the person that I look upon you as a mentor. This is what I'm expecting from you. Right? I'm expecting you to give me rational advice. I'm expecting you to hold up a mirror to what I'm out doing. I'm expecting you to act as a bouncing board for some of my ideas. Right? So it's important that you try and get this quickly. I think that's the second last. You heard this saying before?
Yes.
Huh? You know who said it? There's a guy called Voltaire, an old Greek.
Our teachers maybe.
He said this in 1765, right? More recently, the most uncommon form of intelligence, common sense. This was an, I think, American playwright who said this in 1968. And I'm probably saying it today again, which means in 250 years, this hasn't changed. Right? Why? Any thoughts why? It seems so obvious, no? But why in 250 years has this not changed? And each and every one of us is guilty of this. It's because we accept common practices as common sense. It is not the same. Common practice is not equal to common sense. Driving on the road, you see a guy on a bike. Is he wearing a helmet? No. Why? Because nobody else is wearing. Common practice, helmet nahi pehenge. Is it common sense to not wear a helmet? You're going in a car, seatbelt hai na? Pehente ho? Super. So some of you all have made distinction in some of these places. Does it happen everywhere? So one big element that you need to do for yourself is the need to unlearn these common practices. Right? You brought that on also. That you have to unlearn and ask the right questions. Right? So you need to have goals which are smart, measurable. You need to have mentors. You need to be able to delegate to grow your business. And keep asking yourself, what is the right thing? What is the right question I need to ask? Because unless you don't ask the right question, you're never going to get the right answer. If your question itself is wrong, will you ever come to the right answer? No, you will not. Right? I think we are back to that first slide. Validation of known elements. Hands up, yes, no? Yes. Alternate thought processes? Clarity of thought? Little early for that, but some direction is there. Fine. So this is what we set out to achieve. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we are kind of there.